What the heck is estate planning? What's a trust? What's a will? What's a pour-over will? What's a power of attorney? What's a durable power of attorney? These are all the questions that you probably have if you're tuning into this video. So hopefully this video will help you clarify, or I will clarify for you, what these documents and instruments are in the estate planning process. So estate planning, that is the process of setting up these documents that I just mentioned to make sure that when you pass away, I know, morbid, sorry, that when you pass away, you are making sure that all of the things that you have bought and owned and accumulated throughout your life are taken care of or are given to who you want, your loved ones, your children, and most importantly, that your children and your pets have someone to care for them if your children are minors or if the pets obviously can't take care of themselves. And so all of these documents that I'm going to describe all collectively work together to make sure that once you pass away, all of your wishes are carried out, and everyone that you want to have the things that you have had get those things from you and are taken care of the way you want them to be. And this includes bank accounts and retirement accounts and all kinds of things. It includes charitable giving. You can do a lot with your estate planning documents. Now, the big one, the big daddy document that we do for all of our clients when we do estate planning is a revocable living trust. This is an instrument that you can basically put all of your assets into, your house, your cars, your business, your bank accounts, all of these different things. And then when you die, instead of going through probate, which probate is a long, drawn-out process with the state and the courts, and it doesn't necessarily have any guarantee that any of the things that you have will go where you want them to, because probate is actually what happens when you die without a will or without a trust. And so this trust is really the big document that makes sure that all of those things go where you want them to, and money goes to the charities that you want it to, and that your retirement accounts are distributed appropriately to who you want them to. So it's a very important document. It's a very big document, typically 40 plus pages. Now that trust typically is going to come with a couple of different wills. So you're going to have a living will, and your living will is essentially the document that allows you to do a few other things in addition to what the trust does. Things like dictate who is going to be guardian of your children, dictate who's going to get your pets, and dictate a few other things that could even go on while you're living, like if you become incapacitated for medical reasons. And there's another document, your power of attorney, your healthcare power of attorney, that kind of goes with the will for that purpose. And you can see these documents work together. So that living will, that's going to be some of the things that it covers. Your pour-over will, which is not about coffee. I know, like the hipster pour-over coffee. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a will that essentially is designed to make sure to capture things that didn't make it into your trust before you pass away for whatever reason. Let's say you bought a house after you did your trust and you didn't update your trust. Let's say, for instance, you have some bank accounts that, because of legal operation, didn't make it into the trust. Maybe the pour-over will catch those, and essentially takes that and puts those things into the trust so that you can avoid probate for the purposes of those things that the pour-over will capture. Some other documents that we will draft for our clients that might be confusing if you don't watch this explainer are going to be those powers of attorney that I mentioned. So you have a durable power of attorney. That's typically going to be a power of attorney that gives someone that you pick the right to essentially make decisions about your finances, maybe about your business, if you have a medical emergency or for some reason are incapacitated while you're alive. So a good way to think of these is that the trust and the wills, those are things that are going to operate after you've passed away. Your power of attorneys, those are going to operate when you're alive. And so the durable power of attorney, typically finance specific and business matters, things like that. Your healthcare power of attorney, just like it sounds, is going to be related to your medical decisions and your medical care. And so that's also going to be one that operates while you're alive, but perhaps you are incapacitated. So revocable living trust, living will, pour-over will, durable power of attorney, and healthcare power of attorney. Those are going to be the main documents that we draft up for you in the estate planning process. There are some other documents that come with our paperwork, like funding instructions. The funding instructions are going to be what essentially give you the instructions on how do you put your house into the trust? How do you put your bank accounts and your business into the trust? That will be covered in your funding instructions. There will also be something called portfolio inserts. Portfolio inserts are going to be like the tabs in a binder that all of the documents go into when we finish up all the documents and give you a big binder that has all of them. The portfolio inserts also have an area where typically you can write in instructions. And those are really important because everything with estate planning is, okay, the estate planning documents say this, but they might be in confusing legalese, or maybe the laws have changed. And so when there's also written instructions that go along with those documents that you can find in your portfolio inserts or some of the other directives that we will give you that you can fill in by hand, those are used to basically look at the complicated documents, the complex, confusing legalese, and your handwritten plain English instructions, and come together and say, this is what they actually wanted if there was any confusion. So those are super helpful as well. And then the last one that I'll describe, it's called the trust summary. Just like it sounds, it is a summary of your trust, that revocable living trust. And that's actually the document that we usually send you first, so that you can take a look at the kind of high level, a little bit more simple, certainly more brief, maybe 8 pages, summary of your overall trust before we go to giving you that trust and asking you to review that 40-page document. The trust summary will give you all the highlights, and you can pick out things that we may have gotten wrong, because this is an iterative process for us. We will go through several rounds of these documents, because at the end of the day, like I started the like I started the video, I'm so used to saying these on calls with clients. When I started the video, I said this is the process of how you distribute all of your goods, all of your possessions, all of your things that mean so much to you, like heirlooms and things that you've been given from your family when they did this process. And so when you're doing this trust summary, we want to make sure that you catch anything that's incorrect, and that's why we do so many iterations of the documents. We want to make sure that down the line that your wishes are carried out. That is our number one concern in drafting all of these documents for you, and so we want to get it right. And that's also why we flat fee these projects, so that we can go back and forth as many times as needed and make as many revisions as needed so that these documents are right, and that means your kids are taken care of, your property is distributed as it should be, your pets are taken care of, your charities get money, whatever it is that you care about that is important to you, that these documents are right and they do those things. So hopefully this was helpful in you understanding what documents that we typically provide in our estate planning process, and maybe even a little bit more about what that process is. Thanks for tuning in.